I'm Mel Stewart, and this is the SwimSwam podcast. Joining me today is an icon of sport. This man is the greatest distance swimmer of all time, the first man under 15 minutes in the mile, the first man under 8 minutes in the 800 free. He is the current president of the Russian Swimming Federation. He is known as the Tsar of the Pool, the monster of the waves, the Leningrad Express. Today, welcome Vladimir Salnikov.
Well, hello everybody. I'm really impressed of your introduction, and I just got the goosebumps on my skin, you know.
Let me explain to our audience, because some of them may be young and some of them may not know and understand the importance of having a conversation with you. So I'm going to share two things, and then I would like to go back through your history. But I want to share two experiences and that will make our audience understand, if they don't know you, why you're so important. In the 1970s, when I was growing up, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in the Cold War. And as a child, we would do duck and cover drills and hide under the desk in case we launched nuclear weapons or Russia launched nuclear weapons. And it was very scary. It was the Cold War. But I was a swimmer, and in swimming, there was a name that carried great value. And every swimming coach, if you had a great swimming coach, they had great respect for Vladimir Salnikov. Everyone knew him. So that was my understanding of you long before I ever saw you on a pool deck. Number two, by the time you were at the end of your career, no one expected you to swim well. It was 1988, it was the Olympics. It was my first Olympics. It was the end of your career. And it was a moment where it was sad. A lot of people respected you, and they were sad. They were sad for you because you should have had a better moment in time. And there was a lot of bad history that happened in 80 and 84. And most fans thought that you weren't going to swim fast. And your wife was coaching you, and it was very, like, what was really going on? We couldn't understand it. And you swam the mile, and you won the mile. And it was one of the most exciting and surprising wins of the Olympic Games in 1988. And when you went back to the Olympic Village, everyone was there. And one by one, people began to stand up from all nations and gave you an applause. It is one of the greatest stories in swimming. Everyone honored you. This is the man we're talking to today. Did you understand all that?
Oh yeah, I understand everything, and just brought a lot of memories from these years, and really, you prepared very well, I would say, from the beginning. Yes, we, back to let's say end of 70s, beginning of 80s. Our countries were not really in, let's say, friendly status. But through the sport, through swimming, we really knew each other better. We communicated, and unfortunately, not many American swimmers were able to speak Russian, and some of us had a problem with English because it's not our mother language. But we all, I think, have the same respect because we appreciated the hard work, which were the key for the result in swimming. If you don't work hard, so it's very unlikely you achieve something. So, and that mutual respect, I think, brought us very close. So we didn't need words to establish a good relationship. We really have mutual respect, and it was seen, I would say. Regarding the end of my career in Seoul, you're absolutely right. I wasn't in top position as it was a few years ago, and actually I was trying to calculate, it was 7 or 8 years, I was number one in world rankings, and having world records in the 4, 800 and 1500 freestyle. I had better times in mid-80s, in 84. So, but we didn't participate in the games, and the same story. As you guys didn't participate in Moscow. So I think it was a mutual loss. We lost a lot. I think the generations of swimmers lost their goal, and it was really hard. Continue to train to find a new goal. And you were right. Last year in 1988, when I was coached by my wife, and it's not my, I would say, it based on one thing, why I choose my wife to be my coach. Not because I was in a position to choose anyone, say, I want this or this or this. No, because I came to the point when I was so experienced in terms of competing, training, and so on. And when I parted with my previous coach, Igor Koshkin, who was busy with national team, it was really, really hard to find a person who is close to me and who knew me better, maybe, than myself. And my wife was already a graduate from the Institute of Physical Culture, as you say, University of Physical Culture, and she was on postgraduate course. And she was in track and field herself, was a national champion in 200 in track and field, 200 sprint. So she understood perfectly the theory of, the training on a high level. And she's been also involved in our scientific support team for swimming for a few years. So when we decided, and I finally stopped looking around, and we decided that they're going to continue together, it was more like scientific experiment. So I was a rat, she was a scientist, and in that case, any result, bad or good, still could be considered as a result.
So, let's just say this. Let's drop a few stats. 12 world records broken, and he broke 5 world records in the 400 meter free, 4 world records in the 800 meter free. 3 world records in the 1500 meter free. As early as 1976, this gentleman made the Olympic team, and at the age of 16, he got 5th place. But it's important to note that your 5th place finish would have won the gold medal 4 years earlier. At the time, the mile was developing so quickly and times were dropping so fast. There was lots of improvements. Of course, Brian Goodell won in 1976. Take me back to when you were 16 years old, and did you think you were going to win? What were you thinking? What was your anticipation of the Olympics?
May I do some little correction? Back to those times, I have to say that FINA didn't recognize the world records in short course. It was named as the world best achievements, which is absolutely the same as a world record. But in the books, when you say 12, you're talking about the long course. But if you're talking about short course, it'll be another 10 or something. So I lost the count. But it just to explain those young swimmers who probably don't pay much attention, in world course, short course record or long course record. I got to the team by decision of the head coach. I qualified in that year. I qualified 3rd in USSR National Championship, and by those rules, there could be 3 person on each event, and they could be included in the team. So now it's only 2. So I was the youngest among the 3, So, and the head coach, the famous one, Sergei Wojciechowski, who is also a legend in Russia, and he well known around the world in world of swimming. He decided to give me a chance and practically insist that I should be included in the team just to gain practice, gain knowledge, gain experience, and just maybe something come out later out of it. And of course, for me, it was kind of a surprise that I'll go to Montreal. It was my second trip abroad from Russia, from Soviet Union. And of course, Montreal was really, really, really beautiful. And I found myself like in an amusement park. I was enjoying to look around, to see, nice buildings, cars, all. It was absolutely different. And I really enjoyed my being there. So I enjoyed the life in the village. I probably studied every corner in the Olympic Village. We have a lot of things, the cultural stages all around, and cinema, of course, cinema. And I tell you, before I saw Jaws, Jaws, 3 times. And with one, I was so
you saw Jaws. Wait. You saw the movie Jaws at the Olympic Village.
In Olympic Village, yes.
3 times. Jaws is people. Let me say this. Some of our younger audience might not know this. Jaws was a Steven Spielberg film. Jaws was a film that wasn't supposed to be a very big deal, and Jaws ended up being, I think it was the highest grossing film of 1976, and it was a global phenomenon. I think it's very funny that you saw this movie 3 times.
Yeah. But after the first time, I was really terrified, and I couldn't really recall what was happening in the movie. So that's why I went second time, so to get more details. But I only get half of that. So it was a third turn to get it better. But I would say, I saying that the whole Olympic atmosphere was really amazing. I was like a spectator in the middle of beautiful stage performance, and really enjoying being there. I didn't think about my event, my swim. So, and somehow it happened that the only one qualified from our long distance swimmers to the final. And well, it was already for me big achievement. Everybody were happy for me. And in the final, well, I just tried to do my best. I didn't think about what place I will get. Of course, I couldn't compete for the podium. That was absolutely obvious. But finishing fifth, I broke into European records on 800 and on 1500 at the end. So for me, it was really, really great success. And well, I think Montreal gave me really kind of assurance that I can continue on such a high international level. And from that point, I was thinking I'm not just, the guy from St. Petersburg, but it was Leningrad, by the way. And that I could, travel the world, could compete in a major international championships. Maybe I think I will go to the world championships and so on, European championships. And it was really a start of my sports career on international level.
I spoke to a friend of ours, a mutual friend named Mark Schubert. Coach Mark Schubert is a legend in the United States. Of course, Coach Mark Schubert won more club national championships than any coach in history and was the national team director for many, many years, Olympic coach for many, many years. In 1978, so I called him up and said, hey, this is who I'm talking to. What do I ask him? He said, ask him about our 1978 practice where the water was very, very cold. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me just say this. So this is the way Mark recounts the story. Mark says, we're all excited and we have him and he comes and we're practicing and Mark said, I have no idea what's going on, but Vladimir gets out of the pool and asks the question, is this a new training technique? I don't understand. And what was happening was the water was 70 degrees, which is freezing, and the heater had broken. Did Mark say this was a U.S. training technique? How did he explain that?
Yeah, well, it was exactly as he was saying. It was for us. It was a big surprise that the training start so early in the morning, like 5:30, and when you get to the pool, well, you see the dark skies, stars, and sun is not yet ready to rise, and it's really a mystic atmosphere, and a fog above the water give you more sense of something, mystic happening. And this morning there was no fog, and the whole bunch of people who were there, maybe it was 50 swimmers or so on, I just can't recall. And everybody was staying on the pool deck, thinking, should we jump in the water or not? And one girl, and she was not very slim, as I remember, she got to the water and said, it's okay. And then the first set of, the first set was, I still remember it, so it's like a 6 by 600 meters freestyle easy. Can you imagine? No one swim easy. I went to the water, and I feel like I'm getting into the fire. And to warm up, I start swim as fast as I could. Like after maybe a second or third 600, I asked my coach, is it something wrong happening here? And then he said, no, keep going. The Americans, they do it every day, so that's why they are better. Okay, we kept going, but thanks God, I was not only alone who was thinking that the water is a bit cold. And when the Mark finally found someone, and I don't know who was this guy, maybe a technician or I don't know, or someone who has a thermometer. And once they checked the temperature, they understood that it was really, really cold for the training. And they say, okay, training is over, get out of the water. And we were like penguins, like you see the penguins jump up to the ice. It's like spectacular. We were really trying to get as fast as possible, just jumping out. And but the training was not over. Mark says, we're going to another pool. We will continue. And we were driving by our colleagues from the Mission Viejo Club. They have big cars. We were with them on their cars, and we got to the new pool. And the temperature in the pool was normal. I can't really calculate the because I prefer in Europe we use Celsius, not
80 degrees.
Yeah. So the normal temperature, it was like I felt like I'm swim in a warm milk. From the cold you're going to the absolutely in the milky temperature, which relaxed completely. And it was really, really interesting. So great experience. And finally, we were discussing a lot. Is it really a new technique, or really something new to make the swimming training not so boring? But in Mission Viejo, it was never boring, because the training could start like 80 times 100 choice, something like that. For us, it was impossible. We were normally using the classical approach. So some warm up, maybe 1, 2, 3K warm up, and then the main set, and then something else at the end. But in Mission Viejo that time, that was absolutely different.
It's I wanted to share that with you. Let's get to the 1980 Olympics. And for our young viewers out there, I'm going to explain in 1980, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and President Carter of the United States decided to boycott the 1980 Olympics. Now, it's important to understand the context of this. The United States was funding the Mujahideen and fighting a proxy war with the Soviet Union. And so people understand that they called them freedom fighters in Afghanistan. And ultimately, these freedom fighters became Al-Qaeda and became terrorists that that caused 9/11, the terrorist attack in the United States. And now the United States is at war in Afghanistan, the longest war in U.S. history. So it's interesting how things change and evolve. But the casualties of the United States was that we boycotted. And the Olympics in Moscow was going to be a huge Olympics, celebrated, and a great Olympics. And a stunning pool. I raced in this pool in 1986 at the Goodwill Games. Beautiful facility. And this was really your moment in time. This was when you dipped under 15 minutes for the first time, when you broke the barrier. 3 gold medals, 400 free, 1500 meter free, 4x200 free. How did you feel about competing in 1980 without the West participating?
Well, to tell you the truth, we found out that the decision about the boycott was taken, I think, somewhere beginning of the year 1980. And that time we were together with, it was, I think, 3 international competition in Germany, in France, and in Netherlands. And normally, well, many teams from around the world, or most say, good swimmers were competing in these events. And I think in Germany, I can't really recall it was Germany or Paris, doesn't matter. So we learned the news that it will be boycott of Moscow Games. And actually, we knew some of our fellow guys from USA team, and to demonstrate the world what we did, we actually moved the tables at the breakfast in a restaurant. So we ate together. We tried to demonstrate it's not easy to break our relationship just on political reason, because we have this respect, which I explained before. We knew what the value of the hard work. They really were like, we had the same things. We have a lot of things, we can share easily. And we really felt very sorry that they will not be able to come to Russia, because in that time, the Olympics were really, it's a huge event anytime. But for Russia, for Soviet Union, it was really a demonstration of the everything we have, and normally out of the feeling of hospitality, if you understand what I mean. The guest treated much better than the regular visitor. So everything we have at best we brought onto the table, and we were proud to show what country have, like sports facilities, food, anything. So everything was brought to please the visitors. And we really feel sorry because, as you cook something special and the guests didn't come, what do you feel? You feel, you can understand. And of course, the competition itself. For me, I was very close to the world record already. I would say I was already in the top world ranking in 1500 freestyle. I was a world champion. I got these titles in 2 years before Moscow Olympics in West Berlin at the World Championships. So I won 400 freestyle, 1500 freestyle, and I was we were second in our 4x200 freestyle relay. So the main rival for Olympics, Brian Goodwill was not there, but Bob Hackett was in Berlin. So I won this race, and I was expecting that someone will turn up and it will be, really interesting and really head-to-head competition. Well, but once I knew that you guys not coming, so for me it's only, let's say, a goal at the Olympics was not to win the medal, because I could swim much easier, and as it showed, the second place were by my teammate Alex Chayev, and he was 15 seconds late. For me, it was really a chance to beat the world record, not just the world record, but I wanted to swim under 15 minutes. So, and this idea were with me on every training. So it was really, really hard period. And I could say it was a crazy workload of training. And sometimes on training camps, we had training 3 times a day, 2 hours each. So 6 hours in the water, and 1 hour dry land training. We were wasted, like completely. But at the end, it gave a result. So I thought I capable to break this record, and concentrate in preliminaries to swim fast, to check the feelings and speed and time. And in the final, in the Moscow pool, there is a side board where you can which located on a pool on the starting block end. And if you're good enough, you can take a glimpse after the turn and see if your internal clock and the real clock are, on the same level. So that helps me actually a lot, because somewhere in the last third of the race, my internal clock didn't show me the right time. So, and I have to correct it. And somewhere 300 meters before the end, I found that I'm still winning, no doubt, but the record may be broken, but not 15-minute barrier. And I played the trick. I thought to myself, okay, today the distance will be not 1500, but only 1400. So I run like I swam last 1400 meters, and before I touch the wall, I make a flip turn and told myself, okay, and now the last 100. So, but the body was not really happy with it, I tell you.
The time that you went was when you dipped under 15 minutes at the 1980 Olympics was 14:58.27, and that was a time that made everyone's heart skip a beat. It was known all over the world. Let's move forward to 1983. We're coming up on the 1984 Olympics, but in 1983, you had your best performance of all time in the mile, 14:50.36. And I do think this is very, very important to understand for our audience to have context on this. In 1983, you went the fastest time of your career, 14:50 in the mile. And of course, the boycott was returned because the Olympics were in Los Angeles in 1984 and in the East, and the Soviet Union boycotted. You sat at home. Can you explain to us what was going? My point was, it was clear that your best Olympics of your entire career would have been 84, and you were forced to sit out. What was going through your mind? How did you feel about it emotionally? How did you process that point in history?
Yeah, that's still very painful to recall these moments. We were in a training camp in Eastern Germany, in a little city called Lindorfmark, where they have a nice training center, 50-meter pool, decent dorms, good food. So lake and forest near the complex. And after the evening training, I remember we went to the local cafeteria to get some ice cream, some soft drinks, and we learned from the TV. It was a Russian program on the TV, and the government announced that we're not going to go to Los Angeles. It's first you don't really understand what was said, and second, you just, for me it was like I felt like the earth split it, and I see absolutely the darkness all around me, and this darkness, I don't know, maybe it's hard to feel, hard to explain, because it's like an emptiness which surrounds you, and you don't know what you actually gonna do, and how, and then you understand that everything you put on the table, your like dedication, your training, and so on, it was wasted for nothing. And these feelings were like overwhelming and lasting a lot, not just one day or two. That it was like you really lost the hope. And well, it was hard to overtake this situation. And of course, as we had this competition, Friendship 84, which were in the same dates as Los Angeles Games, but well, it's nothing to compare. It was good we have them because you have to release this team, otherwise it might be even to the worst results or whatever tragedies maybe. But everybody understands you cannot compare, like some events, some even good events with Olympic Games. And my results are better than the winner in Los Angeles, but so what? Nothing. And that left me with, the next season. I really decided I have to think, shall I continue or not? And well, half a year I didn't really train much, and I have to to take care of my shoulder problem and so on and so on. And only at the end of the year, 85, I thought I should I come with the thought that I will continue my career. But I didn't thought that time, so I keep going until the Olympics. Absolutely not. Because I feel in position, so I have to keep going, because I can't really stop without saying I put everything and I try everything in my life to achieve some results, gain some titles, in the major competition. So, but the Olympics come later. The thought about the Olympics came later.
The world felt like the earth split open, and that's what I would imagine you would feel like. Very emotional. So I need to make a correction. I said your fastest time of your career was 14:50. That's incorrect. It was 14:54.76. The world record lasted for nearly eight years, 9 years. It was broken at World Championships in Perth. I was at World Championships in Perth. I watched Jörg Hoffmann go 14:50, and that was a unbelievable swim, because 14:54 was a tough time to beat. By 1988, leading into 1986, I went to the Goodwill Games, and the Goodwill Games was my first international trip representing Team USA, and it was the first time I saw this gentleman in person. And throughout my childhood, he loomed large. He was this big star in swimming. It was understood the greatest distance swimmer of all time. And I remember the first time I saw you at the Goodwill Games in '86, and I wanted to say hi and have a conversation with you, but I was too intimidated. I was too scared. I was the youngest guy on the team. I was 17 years old, but no one thought you would swim very fast there, and you swam well. And but I remember this, and I have to ask this question: greatest distance swimmer of all time. However, I don't know about your flip turns. I've never seen a flip turn like that in my entire life. And so our audience understands, at the time you would flip turn and push off almost on top of the water. Can you explain how you did that, why you did that?
We did a train march to make the turns perfect. And actually, as you can see, the way the swimmers swim 1500 really varies a lot from the past to the present. And now you can see guys who could swim with 6 beats per per cycle, which for me was absolutely incredible. Because when my legs were very poor, so when we swam 50 kicking, like I was somewhere at the end. For that reason, I didn't really use my legs. So, and the turns, if you push hard, if you push strong, so your muscles take a lot of energy, and you can suffer, And for that, I thought, okay, turns is not my best point, and let them happen fast, and let's get out of this, salt or whatever, and get into the water and keep going with your normal way. So, but you're absolutely right in terms of we could do better. I could do better, but I did also I was a slow starter as well. I was sitting on a block, maybe, like half second more than everybody else. And it cost me, maybe 3-4 tenths of second. Turns cost me more, but so more concentration was on the work in swimming itself.
I've never seen a flip turn like Vladimir's flip turns in my entire swimming career. I wish I could roll footage of his flip turn so that everyone could watch it. It was amazing, but it worked at the time. By 1988, you had the 4 fastest swims in history, all time. And of course, in 1988, as I said at the very beginning, no one expected you to win. In fact, everyone who knew you and respected you felt sorry for you. It was going to be the old lion trying to represent his career. Your time in 1988 was, what was it? It was 15 minutes. What did you go? 15 minutes, 42? I wrote it down somewhere.
Before Olympics.
15 minutes, 15 minutes, 0.4 seconds.
Yeah.
That's a great swim. So my understanding is that you suffered a lot of pain to pull that race off. You almost swam to blackout. Describe it.
Well, I actually have to say that before I qualified to the Olympic team, I won the nationals, and the result was not so good. I think something like 15-20, a little bit better than I think 15-20, which was not exactly the result which were indicated in the book. And the head coach has some doubts that they say maybe you shouldn't go, something like that. And the decision were making somewhere on top. And we have a guy who was deputy minister of sport. He asked me if I feel if I feel right to go to the Olympics. Like as a national champion, I have this right. As a but I didn't qualify in exactly the time which were planned to go without question. But in the 1500, 1 second or 1.5 means not so much. Well, at the end, the decision was taken by me. I say, okay, if I feel good enough to compete for the medal, I will go. But I have to check it out before Olympics, and we have a dual meet with Canada in the Olympic pool in Moscow, and I swam 800, and so the idea was if I could swim between somewhere around 8 minutes, it was okay. Then it shows that I'm coming to to my normal shape. I mean, good shape. And of course, once we arrived to Olympic Village in Seoul, I didn't see much attention from mass media, and I saw that a lot of people who were asking for interview in the past didn't really look at my face. They will, look to somewhere else. And it was a little bit, I would say, unpleasant feeling, but I thought, the hell with it. So I'll better to keep silent. I would keep my energy, with me. I was not going to talk to anyone who is asking what's going to happen. So I better concentrate on the last maybe week before the competition. So actually, we planned the result with my wife about between 15:0 to 15:05, which by our calculation should fit in at least in the first three. Well, I couldn't say it might be first or second or third, but we thought that it will be enough to get to the podium. Well, and each training I have to control everything I could, in terms of condition of my body. We have some guy who could perform a blood analysis, and I see if I'm good or bad in terms of getting to the final stage of my shape. And situation changed when I finished the preliminaries with quite a good result. And I thought I have to practice, good speed, and I feel I could really go fast at the preliminaries. And actually, I have to, during the race, the preliminaries, I have to stop myself of avoiding swimming too fast. And I thought, that's a great feeling. It's never happened to me that I'm stopping myself from swimming fast. And I was also trying to locate this the score board, where I could see the clock, just to understand that I'm on the same with my internal stopwatch. So after I finished the preliminaries, the situation is changed. Those who didn't look in my face were coming to me asking me photographs and so on. Vladimir, how it happened? Well, I tried to avoid this, but I was really feel good because people were really surprised, and I like surprises, and I like to make surprises. So the last day was really, I was concentrated 100%, not to think about anything else, but just the right routine. And I play kind of a role as, like one of the heroes in action movies. Like, for instance, there are 2 movies or 3 movies I like, and I like a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he beats all the armies with bare hands. I like Sylvester Stallone, who could use everything from guns to like a rocket launcher, to kill everybody. And I feel like with all my experience, with everything I spent in swimming, I like full loaded with the guns and bullets and so on. So I think like the hero goes to kill them all. And when I walk out of the Olympic Village, I saw the clouds were around the Olympic Stadium in the pool. I said, okay, this is a good sign. This is what we learned from the Star Wars. Then the Jedi is getting power from the universe. And I really play this. I feel, okay, the thunderstorm, it helps me. The energy comes to me. And with this, ideas and thoughts, we were getting to the block. And I know that all my single weapon we fired in that moment. So I knew that I will leave nothing for me. So everything I gained for this, for my swimming career, is here. And I'm going to use it all. So, during the race, as you see, we started, with Setlinsky. He was ahead. I was catching up until 700, and then I understood that I have to take a lead because the other guys, the Germans, were the better in the last lap. The Duster was already won the 400 freestyle with the gold medal and the world record. And it was also Pfeiffer, who was the European champion and the world, I think, medalist and so on. And I knew if I will stay in the last lap with them, I will get no chance. So the only way for me will be take a lead and go away, as long as I could, just to really to create a significant distance between me and the rest of the field. It was really hard, I'll tell you. It was really hard. And but somewhere close to 1,000-meter mark, I feel like, okay, my muscles really feel stiff, like I feel like I was really tired. And I found that I can control the internal clock. It was it was a sensational feeling. I could control almost every cell in my body. Like I feel, okay, my right hand is getting tired. I have to concentrate on the more relaxing during the recovery and so on. I really control muscles, and I say, well, what's a great feeling. And the sad feeling was that I knew that it is only happening once, because I knew before the race that it was going to be my last, race in my life. And with that, I kept going, and 300 meters to go, and same trick as in Moscow, but the distance was not 1,400 meters; it was 13. So I would tell you, it was really, really hard. So one finish for the to make it 1,400, and then another 100 to make it 15. Last lap was awful. My last turn was, I don't wish to anyone to learn how I make the last turn. I barely touched the wall with my legs with my last turn. The push was so weak, but I saw all the field, and it's another feeling, like you don't see it with the eyes, you can see it with your brain. You can see somehow, you understand what's happening. And I knew they tried to catch me, and I knew that only 50 meters to go, so it's really hard for them to get to me. But I really was losing everything. I mean, I have no strength anymore. And two things. One, I thought, okay, I should bite my lips a little bit to somehow to gain the control, so at least I could feel something. And when 25 meters to go, I thought, okay, if I'll go straight to the bottom out of exhaustion, it will be not really funny, because Olympic gold is shining already in front of me, and I have to just keep myself conscious to get it. When I touched the wall, it was so much, emotions. First, I was absolutely drained. I had no water in my body. With a pool full of water, I had nothing. My mouth was so dry, and I felt absolutely exhausted. And when I saw a fighter came, touched the wall, and he shook his hand. So what's happening? Why? It was really touching moment, because he was really surprised, and appreciate he came to me, shook my head, congratulated me for the winning. And but everything, it was a mixture of everything. I was really happy. It was the happiest moment in my life. I was so exhausted that I never felt like this before. And also it was some sadness, because I knew that it was my last event, my last swim. And of course, what you described earlier in the cafeteria, it's a greatest moment of appreciation. It's really, it's like when you get a recognition from the people who knows what is the hard work means, it's different. And that was really a great appreciation, and I feel very, very, I was really, really touched to, with that round of applause. And it was, I knew that there in the cafeteria, it was not only swimmers, there were athletes from different sports, from different countries. And it's absolutely unforgettable moment.
I've been to many Olympics. I've never seen the athletes from all nations stand up and give a standing ovation to someone from a different country. I've seen variation. I've seen it happen in small ways, but never like that. That was a unique moment. So we've got a few minutes left. You are the president of the Russian Swimming Federation, and I cannot imagine the Olympic stage without the United States and Russia competing. And in 2016, it was a scary moment. It was a disappointing moment, and I think you got angry. We at SwimSwam, we quoted you, and you were mad about the performance, but the performance was kind of close to 2012 from Russia. But you knew that there was an impact because of all the things going on in the media and the politics. going into the 2016 games. That's a tough spot. How did you feel about it in 16, and how did you lead the Russian Swimming Federation going into the 2016 games?
If something bad happening, if something terrible happening, I keep telling to myself that this situation is not bad enough. Something could be really, really worse. Like, for instance, the extinction of the Earth, of the life in Earth in 5 billion years. So I try to always turn the bad situation into the right one. So it means if you not achieve something, we have a chance. And I knew our team was good, but also with that pressure and so everything was surrounding Rio with some scandals and so on. And our favorite swimmer, Yefimova, she was, allowed to compete in the last moment. Morozov was there. We have top 6 swimmers who were waiting, around the corner to waiting for the sports arbitrage to take a decision. And so, of course, they could not really feel good enough. I mean, just normal to be able to give 100% of what they could. But the performance was the same as 4 years. So I would say in in those conditions, it was considered as at the end it was a good enough result, because we withstand all these problems. Everybody who should compete, they competed. No gold medals means it's not a disaster. Olympics, we thought we could do better this year in Rio, in Tokyo. Well, we had more people in the finals, so we had obvious signs of improvement. Well, for that, I decided at the end, so we shouldn't really feel that we wasted our time to prepare the team and working hard for the federation. So everybody were in place, and normally, if you not achieve the good results, you forced to make analysis, and you forced to think what you're going to do. Because victories, I can tell you, when 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you think it's, maybe going to continue without any specific things. And it leads to the certain point that you lose maybe a kind of, not to control the cautiousness maybe there. Because out of sudden, if you lose, okay, you stop for a second, you start think what leads you to that result, analyzing, and you forced to improve it. So for me, I was really disappointed with maybe we were close. We were close to get some more medals, but we didn't achieve it. But at the end, we didn't make a step back. That was more significant, more important for us. Well, and what's happening now? We have more kids in the world rankings now. Much more than we had before Rio. So also it's objective sign. It's just, gold medals is something, I never was saying that I'm going to win the medal, because I'm superstitious in terms of saying something going to happen before I'm starting to do that. But if your concentration is, more, so it means you have more chances, more possibilities to achieve this. So now we analyzing the position of our swimmers in the world rankings, and we see that situation is improved significantly. Of course, that was due to the work of federation. We actually have a program for the young kids who are starting maybe age of 12, 13, 14. We have good coaches, and in center in the city of Volgograd, former Stalingrad, maybe known better as a Stalingrad, but and we have it's our let's say training center of our federation. We own the center, which gives us a unique opportunity to use the all new methods and use the really a scientific support team, which is located there permanently. Well, and I think we created a different surrounding. I think the key to success is not just good food. It means a lot, good training, but it also a situation where you have a lot of people who is doing the same work. I understand if you do it better, you can make a step forward. But if you don't do it better, someone will overtake you. So now we created a kind of artificial atmosphere. Unfortunately, we don't have as much pool as you have in United States, and but in terms of young swimmers, we have a quite a significant amount, which gives a good, I would say, who pushing actually the A squad. So we'll see.
So thank you for coming on. It has been an honor to talk to you about your history and learn the stories that you had to share about taking that journey. Would you come back on and talk to me after your Olympic trials next spring? Would you come back and talk to us before we head to the Olympics?
Yeah, sure, no problem. We have, I hope we're going to have these trials. I hope that the virus will, not, it's going to be beaten with one of those new drugs and so on. And we have the trials in beginning of April. So right after, in a couple of days, I'll be happy to talk on that.
Would love to bring you back and just hear your thoughts about how trials went and your expectations for the Olympics going forward. But many thanks and much love. And we will talk to you again next spring.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was my pleasure, really.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.